Man, it's a great time to be making videos because you can get away with a lot of stuff. The social acceptance for computer glasses is through the roof. Do you care that I'm wearing a robe? Absolutely not. It's the least of your worries. You have a lot more things to be concerned about. But more importantly, it has opened the door wide open for us to talk and address some things that previously might be taboo. Now, this week we're talking about mental health, and it gives me carte blanche to delve into some particular topics that I've thought for a while but never honestly thought they'd be appropriate. And it is more or less my own philosophical stance on what it means to be happy. Now, I'll lean on men a lot smarter than myself, but I hope that this will just stimulate a thought process for yourself to come up with your own answers. Now, we all know the 16th century mathematician Blaise Pascal, and he had a very famous quotation where he said, "I have often said that the sole cause of man's unhappiness is that he does not know how to stay quietly in his room." Now, what does that even mean, right? I think, this is just my own interpretation, I think it means that we're constantly looking for distractions, because if we didn't have those distractions, we would be forced to sit and ruminate on the fact that life is hard. Would you agree? And I mean, we're in a microcosm of that right now. And so I think what he was alluding to is that we have all of these things that we try to constantly participate in so we never have to be alone and just think. Now, I'm as guilty of that as anybody else. I feel like I'm distracted all day long between trying to feel engaged through the work that I'm doing, through food, through leisure, all day long. I feel like it's filled with distractions. The funny thing is that all those things that I'm doing, I tell myself that they will make me happy in a way. The funny thing is that they never seem to last very long. Are you with me on this? I feel like I'm a bottomless pit. I mean, I could eat something that tastes good, and in that moment, man, it just feels like it's everything that I've ever wanted. But if you quiz me 6 hours from then, it's not quite the same song. And here's the paradox, is that right now in this season, it feels like a great consolation. It feels like I need to up the ante in terms of how I'm coping, and that all these coping, mechanisms, as they call it, are helping. But the paradox is that I'm feeling the worst about those things that I'm doing to try to feel better. It's crazy. The thing that I'm doing that I think is going to help is actually the thing that's making me want to do that thing over and over and over and over again. And so it's this broken record. And I figured this out a few years ago, and it doesn't mean that I don't have diversions or distractions. That just means you're being a human being. But I think I've more appropriately placed them in the category that they should be. Instead of, hey, this thing that I'm doing, it's going to make me happy. Now it's just, hey, this thing, let me call it what it is. It's a pleasant diversion, but it's not one and the same. Now, when you hear this, you could say, man, that guy's full of shit. When I have this glass of wine, it really does make me feel so good, and I never, not the next morning, feel crappy for drinking it. You can tell yourself that, and that is totally your prerogative. I can tell you that I've witnessed and observed a lot of people who have said that, and it's just my own observation that when that party's over, it's way over. Now, the second choice is that you could still participate in these diversions But you just, before you do so, you lay the little 70s jingle. You know the one, right? It's like, this piece of cake, this glass of wine is not gonna make me feel that good. It's just a distraction. I'm doing it to temporarily avoid the harsh and terrible realities of life. It's classic. Maybe more importantly than indulging, being dissatisfied, is coming up with something better than being happy. It's true. Now, I didn't come up with this. As you and I both know, the Greeks of old had lots of terms that broke happiness down into different categories. And Plato and Aristotle, ever heard of them? They had this word that was a part of their philosophy, and it was called eudaimonia. And the rough translation is fulfillment. And may it please the court, I think it's a much better alternative to just finding things that make us happy. Now, what's the difference between fulfillment and happiness? Well, you can do something that's fulfilling and it still be unpleasant. There can still be pain associated with it. Now, happiness, there typically isn't. It needs to feel good. And so why would we go for fulfillment versus happiness? Well, managing a household, performing meaningful work, keeping a relationship going, these are things that we're supposed to be doing. But none of these are going to leave us with a stupid smile on our face. However, when we look back at this time, I don't think that we're going to be really proud about all the food and TV that we consumed. But I think the things that we're doing right now that are fulfilling, we'll look back and we'll have accessed something grander and more interesting. And what is that, brothers and sisters? It's that we've made a difference. So I leave you with that. Not that your life needs to be dull and void of distractions or good food or entertainment or leisure, but put it in the right category that it deserves. And constantly ask yourself, is this something that I'm doing as a distraction, or is this something I'm doing that will provide fulfillment? I think if you do that, you'll be in a better place. Till next time.